Hey everybody, good morning again. This is TheBigJB from Morning Thunder on Tuesday, despite the fact that I'm recording this on Monday. So it's a little bit of a time warp thing for you, but I had a lot on my mind that I wanted to talk about because there's been some stuff that's happened in the public eye recently that I kind of want to touch on. Not so much the specifics, but kind of the context under which things have been happening. So first of all, I'd like to share some things, not necessarily, well, it's from the Bible, I learned it from the Bible, but it's an interesting word study in the Greek, which is the kind of the core language of the New Testament that most scholars use. So in the Greek, there are at least three words that are used for love. These are the three most common words for love. So the first one is eros. Those of you who know your Greek mythology know that Eros was one of the consorts of Aphrodite. I think Aphrodite's son, as a matter of fact. And a lot of the images of Eros have kind of turned into the cherub that we associate with Valentine's Day. And so Eros is a word where erotica and erotic stem from. Eros is a word that basically means a fleeting, temporary, sort of more lust-oriented, very, it's typically given for passionate, and it doesn't have the context in the Greek of lasting for very long. The other one is phileo. That is not a root of any other words that I'm not going to go into on this video. Phileo is a temporary, not temporary. I guess the word that I would use for phileo is that it's flexible. It is a brotherly kind of love. It is a love that people have for each other that is flexible, and yet it can break if it's stretched too far. And then the third one is agape. Agape is that unconditional love. That's loving somebody no matter what. That's caring about somebody for whatever they're going through, whatever decisions they make in life, and you still love and care about them. Agape is should be used in the context of parents for their kids. Good parents love their kids no matter what. So whether they are tearing up the couch or whatever, they might be upset with the fact that they're doing that, but they don't stop loving them. And that's what agape is. So in that context, there was an incident recently over the views that were expressed by the guy who owns Chick-fil-A. And I am very frustrated. I talked with a friend of mine who goes to our church, and he and I see eye to eye on a lot of things. He plays World of Warcraft. He has a lot of the same kind of opinions that I do on things. Just a really great guy. Oddly enough, I don't hang out with him, not nearly enough. So, dude, you know who you are if you're hearing this, and you know my heart to get together. Families being what they are, we've just not been able to make it happen. But he said something that I really agreed with. He said that, I don't understand why we've chosen this to plant our flag in as Christians. And I agree with him. I think that the media coverage and everything that's been going on is kind of ridiculous. And why this has become such a big issue for both sides, honestly. For both sides, I think this whole thing is just gotten blown out of proportion. I mean, it's like college pranks almost. You know how in college, if you play a prank on somebody, then they play a prank on you, and what it does is it just escalates. And it seems really immature to me. So one group decides that they're going to do something in support of anything else. Chick-fil-A aside, okay? So let's just set that whole thing aside. It falls into this context, and that's what inspired these contents, but I am not talking about that specific event, okay? So regardless of how you feel about this, I'm talking about anything that is kind of in this context, where one group says something that they are for, and they get some people to rally behind it. Another group feels like they're being wrong or insensitive or whatever, and they're going to do something in response. And then it just turns into this, I called it a pissing contest. Because all they're trying to do is show who's got more solidarity, or, show who's right. And all they're doing is rallying people who are for their same thing. There's no expression of dialogue. There's no interest in conversation. There's no, there's no I don't want to call it relationship building, but that's almost what it is, right? Where you've got two people who are talking, or two groups who are talking back and forth to understand where each one is coming from. And I posted a quote on Facebook, and if you are one of my Facebook friends, you can go find it. It's a quote by Rick Warren, who pastors a church down in California, and there isn't biblical reference, and it's not preachy, but I really agree with it. Essentially, I feel like I should be able to disagree with your lifestyle and the choices that you make, but that doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't mean I have to all of a sudden despise you and everything that you do. On the flip side, I can love you without condoning what you do. Okay, so with my kids, I'm going to give an example with my kids. I don't condone them tearing up my couch, dumping sugar in my garage. This has actually happened, dumping sugar in my garage because it snowed. They wanted to make it look like it snowed. And so I have boxes and other things that have sugar all over them. I don't agree with that. I don't condone that behavior, but that doesn't mean that I don't love them. And so as a group of individuals, if there's a group of individuals that I don't agree with, doesn't mean that I hate them, or that I have to have some kind of campaign against them, or that I have to rally other people to be against them. That's not what I'm about. And I think on the flip side, people who assume that love means that you condone what they do, that's not true. I feel like you can love somebody without condoning all of their behavior. And that's just kind of the bottom line. I think that, I have friends and groups of friends who are, let's say, in the herbal lifestyle. I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's necessary. I don't think it's good for you. And I understand there's a whole other topic. We can talk about the medical benefits of the herb. But, that aside, I think that it can get kind of carried away, where it goes beyond just an argument for the medical benefit, and it turns into, I want it to be legal because I want to do it. I want to do it because I like doing it more than getting drunk or something else. But effectively, it's still a method of coping with pain, right? Just like alcohol, just like anything else. And I don't agree with people's lifestyles that go out and get drunk all the time. I don't think you need to do that. Whether it's on the weekend, at a party, or every night. I don't agree with that lifestyle. Doesn't mean that I love those people any less, not at all. Same thing with smoking pot. If people do it, I don't agree with it, but it doesn't mean that I don't love them any more or any less, because they do it or because they stop doing it. It just doesn't change how I feel about it. And so I'm not trying to make this a political statement. What I'm trying to say is that there has to be some understanding. There needs to be some understanding, and this is a bigger issue than anybody's going to be able to address by giving a speech or doing a daily video blog or even a podcast about it. This is an issue that is global, frankly, and I think that people need to understand that it's possible for me to disagree with how you live or the beliefs that you have without hating you or without having to take up some campaign of violence or something like that against you. And it's also possible for me to love you without condoning the behavior. And so that's where I feel like we need to be. I think the groups who can't do that on either side, or who aren't doing that, are way off base. I don't think there's any room for any kind of, I'm going to use the word intolerance, but even though I hate the popularity and the way that that's used, I don't think there's any room for that. I think that you can, like I said, you can express your beliefs, and I think you should be able to do so without there being this backlash of, you're an idiot, you're a moron, you're a heathen, a sinner. I think that it should be okay to express your opinion, to express what you believe without fear of reprisal, without fear of being lumped into any of those categories, because I don't think it's fair. I think generalizations, and like I talked about last week, stereotypes, unfortunately, some of those stereotypes play out, and that's sad. But I think that we have to be careful not to assume that everybody falls into those categories and those stereotypes. So that is my soapbox for today. I am running along again, but again, I had lots of things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. So you're just going to have to deal with it. I hope everybody has a great day today. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for liking the video. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye.